Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Bryce Underwood, Biff Poggi in Michigan go on the road to Lincoln, Nebraska. They get it done. Now, I want to get a couple of things off my chest before we dive into what we just saw. Number one, Chip Lindsey. Thought he was really sharp, and I was very critical of what we saw on the road against Oklahoma. I know many of y'all listening were very critical of what we saw on the road against Oklahoma. Thought Chip Lindsey was much better Saturday afternoon on the road in Lincoln. And Bryce Underwood, you can box score scout this and say, all right, 12 of 22, buck 05, not a great day. Bryce Underwood is pretty damn sharp. There were some high-level throws that weren't caught by the pass catchers. There's a lot of positives that I think you can take away from this football game. And not taking anything away from Nebraska, 27 points on the board. I thought Dylan's legit in year two, man. One of the better quarterbacks in the Big Ten. But a lot of those points, I mean, Michigan just kind of shooting themselves in the foot a little bit. Really, really impressive win for Michigan. Couple of mental errors. Want to get into what we learned before we get into it. As always, the Michigan fans, appreciate you guys. And just 2 weeks ago, we got on late Saturday night and recapped a disgusting road loss to Oklahoma. This one feels a lot better to the Michigan fans who've been rocking with the boys for a while. We appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Let it fly in the comment section, Dill. I'm going to do my best to get all the players I want to talk about off my chest, but I promise you, we're probably going to miss a few. I'm going to give you the T-box here. Biggest takeaways, let's start with what we saw from the Michigan offense.
And I think you said it, like it got to using all of Bryce Underwood's skills. And that's the big thing. Like, even though the passing stats don't look incredible, I mean, you narrowly miss a couple to Donovan McCulley. You show that you have the ability to press the ball to the boundaries and make some of those plays. And then you also saw like Nebraska have to play defense to kind of honor that. It opened up some things. It opened up that, I don't know, was that a QB draw that they scored on? I can't remember.
Yep, quarterback draw from Bryce.
That's a play where you saw the safeties fly out to the boundary. It opens up a lot of room. I just felt like Michigan got to Bryce's whole skill set, and you can see what that does to unlock this offense.
And we knew we were going to lean on the run in this game. I mean, let's give a shout out to, I believe it was the first drive that we got in the fourth quarter, where I believe we were up, were we up 7 there? And we said, hey, can we go string together a drive? Get this run game going and go kind of put this football game away. That's exactly what Michigan did. 286 rushing yards, averaging 8.7 yards per carry. Let's give some love to the offensive line as well. Okay, first guy I want to give a shout out to, Jake Winera, man.
Yeah, monster.
Jake Winera is your new starting guard for Michigan, right? Giovanni Elhadi will come back and probably fill in for Nate Afobe. And this ain't a shot at Brady Norton, man. But Jake Winera, redshirt freshman, he is an absolute dog. I will say this, too. Having Marlon Klein back in full capacity, massive storyline for this Michigan rushing attack as well. Justice Haynes is putting together a Heisman year. And Jordan Marshall. Like, there was the first game we got to see Jordan Marshall really get loose and get the ball rolling, kind of become the running back that we expected from him during this offseason.
Dominant big-time runs that we saw in the Bama game, like that one that closed out is obviously the one that's perfectly fresh in my mind, but that one where he was stopped basically in the backfield and you rattle off a first down, like those type of runs, again, like they don't get the highlights that big long when he popped, and you like seeing them both be able to pop those. But Jordan Marshall, you really like seeing him get back to being able to grind yards out in the way Justice Haynes has been able to do all year. So I think having him kind of going now, or at least feeling like he might be back on track, is going to be huge.
Look at the storyline in the deal. Was this not eerily familiar to the national championship team we had in 2023? Like the second half that we saw Michigan play, where you kind of just choked the life out of the opponent. Go look at the yardage that we saw in the second half. Michigan dominated the second half of that football game. And if it wasn't for an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty by Brandon Hillman, we're probably talking about a 2-score win for Michigan.
That combined with the Hail Mary, this game could have gotten much more out of hand, because Michigan, I think, like, you look down the way they were dominating up front, especially in the offense. Well, both sides of the line of scrimmage, obviously. Really, really good game for them.
Some of the box score numbers, like 391 total yards to 351, I don't think that's totally indicative, because in the first half, and I'll give Nebraska credit, they were able to stay on the football field. And Michigan didn't have a ton of drives. I think the first drive that they had to start the game was from inside their own 5. Like, I don't blame Chip Lindsey for not getting aggressive with Bryce Underwood. And I think he had Shannon Goodwin to move the sticks, and Shannon Goodwin dropped it on that first drive. Maybe I'm getting my drives mixed up. Here's my last takeaway on offense. Pass protection was really clean, and I love how Chip Lindsey is getting Bryce Underwood out of the pocket. He is so impressive throwing on the run, and the different kind of throws he can make. You're playing into your quarterback skill set, which I think is a really big storyline as well. Last one, Donovan McCulley.
I was just going to say that. Like, Donovan McCulley starting to emerge as a guy, like, again, made some plays. And Samaj made a big play, too. It's not that Donovan was the only guy. Obviously, Marlon Klein, he is what he is. He's really important for this offense. But Donovan McCulley, I know we didn't get that one completed, but that type of play on the boundary, like, we just weren't getting anything close to that. To me, the fact that he's starting to feel like a guy they can really feed a little bit, I think is going to be huge.
We were skeptical in fall camp. Like, we were like, oh, Donovan McCulley gives us some Nico Collins vibes, true wide receiver 1. And you and I both were like, all right, that's sweet. I'm not sure if I'm totally buying it. Yeah, I think it's fair to say. And Dill, I would argue, like, hey, let's try to make it a point of emphasis to get him more opportunities, because it seems like whenever he gets his opportunities, good things are happening with Donovan McCulley and Dill. I mean, Bryce Underwood's ability to push that ball down the field is that ball that he threw on that post corner to Shannon Goodwin.
Unbelievable.
Was freaking money. Like, that is one of the highest level throws we've seen, obviously, since what we've seen from JJ McCarthy. It was a really, really solid performance. The only knock you have is that I think Michigan started the game 0 of 7 on third downs. So maybe you want to clean that up. But here's the thing. I felt like we were doing a pretty damn good job staying on schedule. You just got to execute a little bit better on the third downs. All right, flip it over to the defense. Dill, 7 sacks, 10 TFLs. Is that any good? Yeah. I mean, Nebraska.
The Jason Barra move to the edge is money, because Cole Sullivan is a guy who can't not be on the field as much. Like, he's just a playmaker. But Jason Barham, like, he doesn't give up anything in the run game. I mean, his activity level, how athletic he is on the backside. I love what they've done with Jason Barham. I think it is getting the best out of our team as a whole, let's say. And I think it's really, really helped this defense.
He is so natural coming off the edge. And Dill, what you said is important. He's like pretty dang good against the run as well. He's super, super active and always is getting bodies on the ball carriers. He really is. I mean, we said this going into the year. Jason Barham has the chance to unlock this Michigan defense. Like, I don't necessarily want to get up here and say it's Abdul Carter level, but man, it's pretty. His impact over the last 2 games, pretty damn close, man. Just a legitimate difference maker. How about this one, Demo? There's more kind of. I didn't call him out, but earlier in the week, I kind of did an episode on keys to the game for Michigan. We said, hey, these tackles for Nebraska and pass protection ain't that good. Derek Moore has the opportunity to really put his fingerprint on the football game, and he did. And Dill, I don't like to talk about refs a ton, but I got away with a couple of just like straight up tackling my guy Demo. He was a force that's big for Michigan. I don't want to forget Cole Sullivan, and I know you mentioned him. What was kind of funky, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of rambling now. What was kind of funky is all of fall camp. We're like, all right, Cole Sullivan's like kind of that guy. And then it's like he doesn't really come out with the starting group. And I wasn't surprised, because it was Ernest Hausman and Jay Sean. And then it was Jimmy Rolder was kind of he kind of started in like that 2-3 deep range. He's emerging as a guy that you got to find a way to get him on the football field, because every opportunity this kid has a chance to make plays, he's making them every single time.
And he increases the athleticism in that linebacker room to another level. Because like Jimmy Rolder, and it's not to like take anything away from him, he's playing really clean, but he doesn't have the horsepower and the playmaking ability that Sullivan has. So I'm kind of with you. Cole Sullivan's a guy that especially when they put Barham on the edge now, and it feels like that's just going to be where they use him. I love having Cole Sullivan on the field.
Hey, man, sometimes you got to simplify the sport. And like sometimes it's just about getting your best players on the field. And it's from the 4-game sample size that we have from this Michigan team. it's hard to try to convince me that Cole Sullivan isn't one of the best 11 players on the defense side of the football. Once we started stopping the run better and forced Nebraska to, they really could not drop back and throw the football. They had to rely on the quick game because once they stopped running the football well, it became really hard for Nebraska to move the football. Dylan, the last drive, I know we gave up a touchdown. You saw 2 true freshmen on the football field. Jaden Sanders on one side. Shamari Earls was getting on the field.
Sanders is the truth. Like, Jaden Sanders is nails. He's composed. He tackles well. To me, I'm very comfortable starting against any team in the country.
Yeah.
You probably see Shamari Earls may need a little more time. I mean, he didn't look wildly comfortable with that ball in the air. But Jaden Sanders looks like he is going to be an absolute difference maker for this Michigan team this season going forward. But
that cornerback class, Shamari was the biggest name, but you make no mistake about it. Jaden Sanders is the best freshman right now that we have. Elijah Dotson, I wasn't perfect, but that's another guy that's going to be a playmaker too. And I'm not trying to get ahead of myself here, but I just close my eyes and just envision what this team looks like in 2026 too. And hey, I ain't trying to say this season's a wash because I think this team can be dangerous. That 2026 team, because it's not just Bryce still. I think Michigan's really happy with a lot of the true freshmen that they have and a lot of the year 2 guys that they have as well. We saw a little bit of Rod Moore. I think it's fair to say he looks like somebody that hasn't really played real football in 18 months. I still love Rod Moore. It makes me smile every time he's back on the football field. Any other takes that you have about what we saw from Michigan in this football game?
As much as Brandon Hillman can be frustrating at times with the penalties and some moments, I still love the way he plays. I mean, the way he hits guys, the way he supports in the run, really good tackler. I get that cover. That one touchdown that they had with the slot wide receiver running up the middle maybe was on Brandon Hillman, but I still do, in terms the energy we get from him in the back end. I feel like there's going to be a lot of people trying to dunk on him and oh, why is he playing and all that. He is a really, really good football player.
From a down to
mistakes down, but he's awesome.
From a down to down standpoint, I think he's probably maybe next to TJ, but Brandon Hillman's one of the better players on this Michigan defense. And there's that. It's almost like the conversation we had with Jair Hill last year, where it's really, really good, but when you play safety, your bads can't be that bad, right? Because then you kind of change games with your mistakes. If he can eliminate that type of stuff, and obviously just go celebrate with the what are we
They were doing
doing
that all game. I'm kind of curious.
I mean, but we're grown men out here. These kids are 18 plus years old. We don't get me started with that. How about this question, Dill? Expectations for Michigan going forward in 2025? Are we back?
Level, it's not fullback. Yeah. But that, if they play offense like that, they can be a problem because that's again, just utilizing everything in the cupboard. It's just that Oklahoma game. They just used nothing. They used basically Justice Haynes and we're oh, well, we don't have anything else that. When they get to that, Bryce Underwood with his legs, how he can hurt teams, how it can open things up. It does excite me that they played that way in a big spot, and we're comfortable playing that way in the nut cut drives. Let's say that fourth quarter drive, they unleashed everything else. So
it's hard not to be. And here are my biggest question marks going forward. Is number one, how much better can this team get? Obviously you have not only a freshman quarterback, but I think it's pretty evident that Chip Lindsey's getting a little bit more comfortable with calling the plays with Bryce Underwood on our center. What's this kid good at? How do we maximize what he can do? That seems to be going in the right direction. There's a lot of young players on this team that you kind of expect to continue to get better. I thought this was probably Evan Link's best game, and I got to rewatch it before I start talking about offensive linemen, but maybe Evan Link's been pretty damn good this year, by the way. I think it's my biggest question. Sorry, I kind of got sidetracked. My fault. Can we run the football the way we did? Obviously, utilizing Bryce. Can we run that football against more of the better Big Ten defenses? Because if that's the case, and then we can get a little bit more complimentary, this team's really dangerous, man. All right, we'll sign out there. We'll recap this maybe tomorrow, though. We'll probably talk about it again after we get the rewatch in. To the Michigan fans, appreciate you guys. This one felt big. We're going into the bye week 4-1, going to be top 20 team. Felt big, was big. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.